Hello, today is February the 9th, 2024. I want to talk about advice and why it sometimes can be dangerous. You see, for the longest time growing up, I used to think that, all I need to do in this life to become successful is take advice from successful people, and as a result of that, I'm going to be successful. And I did this for the longest time, and I would be so upset and frustrated as to why am I not more successful? I'm doing everything they're saying that I should do. And it's often because when people give you advice, they don't understand your context. They don't know your strengths, your weaknesses, the toolkit that you were born with. They don't know your bad habits. So they give the advice that's in the moment only truly valuable to someone that is exactly the same as them. And as we all already know it, I don't think anyone is the same. We're all very different. We've got a different set of skills. We're born with different gifts and talents, different weaknesses, different strengths, etc. So what I didn't fundamentally understand was that you can take advice. So if you think of it as an equation, it's advice, and this is how I used to think. I think the equation was advice equals result. Whereas really what it truly is advice plus you and your context, your set of circumstances, your strength, your weaknesses equals result. I didn't understand that I was a huge part of the equation, that I was the key variable that influenced the result dramatically. I just thought, if I just take the advice, I'm immediately going to get this result. But no, it doesn't work like that. You have to consider yourself as being the biggest variable that influences the result. So again, this is what I want to talk about here. And there's a piece of advice in particular that I want to drill into that I think is at times really helpful and valuable, and then at other times extremely not helpful and can be quite damaging. And the ability to recognize when advice applies and when it doesn't, I think is also a critical skill set in itself. Which is, I think, helpful when you understand that you are a key variable in this equation, right? So if you know that you're a key variable in the equation, then I think it helps you understand when to apply the advice to you and when to ignore the advice. And let's take one for example, okay? There's one that I often see on social media, and the way you would see this piece of advice given is usually via a quote, and then there's a picture of a lion running towards you in black and white, looking really fierce, and then in this beautiful text it says, focus on your strengths. Forget your weaknesses. And then because of the intensity of the photo, the photographer did such a good job, and because of the lion's facial expression, you read that and you go, damn it, that looks really wise and just filled with goodness. And then you look to the comment section and then people are all saying, yes, I'm going to focus on my strengths and forget my weaknesses. And then you fully buy into this and you think it just applies to every area of your life. And then it applies to some areas. And then some areas it's completely wrong. I'll give you an example. Let's say, for example, you're on a boat. Let's use a metaphor. Let's say you're on a boat and you've got holes in your boat. And your strengths, unfortunately, are not fixing holes. Your strengths are sailing. And you're really good at sailing, and you know how to set the sails and be able to adjust it so it captures the most wind to get you to the destination that you desire. But we all know life is a marathon, it's not a race. So say you're on this boat and you're on this marathon. Is it wise to, in that situation, focus on your strengths and just focus on setting the sails in the right direction and completely forgetting about the holes in the boat? No, I think in that particular context, you would agree with me that it's important for us to focus on fixing the holes first so we can ensure that we last for the entire marathon, right? So in that simple example, we understand now, and it's super clear that there are very few lessons in this world that can truly be a universal law. They exist, but there are few. And our ability to identify when to apply which piece of advice, I think, is critical moving forward. And the point that I really want to speak on is that I believe, and I fundamentally believe this, that there are some skill sets in this life that are foundational. They're the equivalent of learning how to fix holes on a boat. And to me, I'll share some with you. I think the ability to have empathy, the ability to learn, I think is absolutely critical, because if you can't learn, sure, you can go through this life without being able to learn effectively. Sure, you can go through this life without that, but life is infinitely harder to do so. Big shout out to Dr. Justin Sung. Look him up on the social media platforms. He's an incredible teacher and person who teaches you how to learn better, right? So again, we should learn that as a foundational skill set. Another one is we need to learn how to regulate our emotions. Sure, you can not worry about that skill set and go through life without learning how to regulate your emotions and deal with stress, but life is infinitely harder if you choose that route. So there are a category of skill sets that I believe are foundational, in which that piece of wisdom, focus on your strengths and forget your weaknesses, does not apply. It does not apply to foundational skills. And again, I'm extremely biased because I teach communication skills, and I fundamentally believe that communication skills are one of the most critical skill sets to learn. Sure, you can go through this life without learning communication skills and truly becoming effective at your communication, but life is infinitely harder if you choose to do so. And I can already hear the trolls saying, well, Vin, what about Elon Musk? Elon Musk doesn't have to work on his communication skills. Look how much he's achieved. You're wrong in saying that. Well, all I'm going to say is one thing. You also have to consider you as the variable in that context. Look, if you are Elon Musk, Elon, if you ever see this, I want to say to you one thing. Forget about your communication skills, brother. Don't worry about it. Focus more on making us a multi-planetary species and saving the human race. Please focus on that. Don't waste any time on improving your communication ability. And the people who do say that, you have to, in that moment, think of yourself as being a variable in this equation. Are you Elon Musk? And if you're a mere mortal like me, then I think we have a bucket of skills that we all must learn. And I'll acknowledge in this context as well, there's going to be some of you who, when you review and reflect on what are the foundational skills that I need to learn in this life that will make life easier, that will make life not feel like I'm driving with the brakes on. What are those skills? You identify it. You sit down, and maybe communication skills are in that bucket. Maybe learning is in that bucket. Maybe the ability to learn how to regulate your emotions and stress is in that bucket. Maybe it's not. And it's okay if it's not, because this is your bucket, not my bucket. I want to call myself out here as well, because I often give advice online and on social media. So I've just got to remind myself to be extremely careful when I do so, because we're all different. And being different, we just have to always take our own context, our own situation into context when applying advice. Think about your bucket. What are the foundational skills that are non-negotiables? Whether it's a strength or a weakness, you must develop. What are they for you? I want to know. Tell me down below. What are the 5 top foundational skills you believe are critical for you? Not for everybody else, for you. Spend a few minutes reflecting on this. Because as I did this year, I realized there were still some gaps for me. There's still some holes in my boat that I need to fix. And I'm going to start working on them. And I would love to hear from you. What are your 5 foundational skills? Regardless of strength or weakness, you're going to focus on this year. Love to hear from you.